Come on, everybody. It's Ed Tyll.
It is the Ed Tyll Show. Wow. The weather department is working overtime today, so we'll have all kinds of updates on snowfalls and amounts and roads throughout the day. Also, big doings on Wall Street, up over 26,000 is the Dow, so we'll keep watching that for you. Our next two guests have been with us before, and no better time than the beginning of the year to look forward to what we can do a little bit better, what struggles we've been having, how we can finally accomplish our goal, and if we are stuck in a rut, how to get unstuck. Poppy and Geoff are licensed, certified, new life story coaches, relationship and parenting experts, and certified personality facilitators, millennial translators, national speakers. I know the list goes on. And they are the authors of a #1 bestseller, 1 Billion Seconds. There's still time to discover love. They also host a podcast where they offer counseling for modern relationships with real results. I welcome you both back. Happy New Year. It's a little bit late to be saying it, but you know what? It is a clean slate for 2018. Great to have you guys aboard.
Hey, Ed, thank you so much. We are excited to be here with you.
And Happy New Year to you, sir.
Thank you. You know, I'm getting criticized once in a while when I say that for saying it too late, but the truth is I still like it, so thanks for reciprocating. All right, here we are with all of your great categories of wisdom, and we're beginning a new year. Mm-hmm. So many people really are thankful 17 is over. That seemed turbulent. But they thought 17 would be easier because of the upheaval of 16. So a lot of people feel like, wow, it's been 2 upheavals in a row. What would you feel, what do you guys intuit 18 will be like? And what can we do for the folks that are really exhausted from the last year and want this year to be different?
I think that's a really good point, and hopefully things don't go in threes where we have too many upheavals and discrepancies. Certainly, there's always controversy, and I think we've started this year sort of in that same vein, leaving off from 2017 with controversy. Certainly, we have the Me Too movement, and we've written to that, and we have some ideas around how to empower both men and women so that they can have what we call their integrity, accountability in a safe and prominent place in their lives.
And so much of this, Ed, is just being empowered and not making sure that you don't let events of life in the world affect you and drive you and change who you are. That's one of the huge areas, make sure that you're personally empowered.
You know, it's so important, but you can tell people are feeling yanked and pulled and assaulted here on 2 levels. You guys brought it up. The Me Too is spawning all kinds of residual stress and anxiety. There's the obvious when somebody identifies their situation and we get a glimpse into what happened to them, but there's all kinds of rollover on this as well. This is something you got to gird yourself for, but at the same time, you feel morally obligated to be involved in it. How difficult to navigate the incoming off of this for people who are feeling affected directly and indirectly by it? What's the right way to watch the Golden Globes so you can enjoy a little bit of it and not have trouble sleeping the entire evening after you watch it, you know?
And like all the men are hiding under the sofa the whole time.
So we think that our word of the year, we have this every year, and our word of the year reclaimed from 2007, which is the word accountability. And that goes both ways for men and women. Certainly with the new allegations against Aziz Ansari, the Golden Globe winner for his role in Master of None, comedic actor. He was lambasted by an anonymous young woman who's 23 from a sexual encounter that was quite a few months ago, last year. And once she saw him wearing a lapel pin on the stage receiving his Golden Globe, she was, of course, incited, and she wrote to this Babe publication. We say if you felt victimized, you should have not gone to the press, gone to the police and all that. So in that particular case, she consented to some sex. It wasn't pleasurable. It was unpleasant. And that was her words. She was never assaulted. She was not harassed. When she finally did say stop, he immediately got up, went to call her an Uber, sent her home. The next day he sent her a text saying, "It was fun meeting you last night." She said, "Last night might have been fun for you, but it wasn't for me." This is the very next day. He says, "I'm so sad to hear this. Clearly, I misread things in the moment."
Yeah, I was upset with that answer.
Sorry.
That answer's a non-starter with me. I was raised in a good family.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know, oh, I'm surprised. Where's "I'm sorry, I was a jerk. I had no right to touch your breast on a first kiss. I had no right to rush you through dinner. I don't know what kind of jerk I was." He doesn't have any of that. So I'm not with the wave that is okay with him. I'm not okay with him at all. So I'm glad you guys brought it up. I think it's because he's liberal, he's getting a pass, and because he's somebody that we've chosen to like with his minority status, that there's a golden halo on him. I think if he was from the other party or he looked like Harvey Weinstein, they would be attacking him. And I really don't see any truth because it's all he said, she said. We don't know a doggone thing that he did. And his version, to me, I saw writing today, finally, that says it's not right to be a creep, Aziz.
Right.
You don't rush a woman that you just met through dinner. You don't grab her breast. You don't take out condoms. You don't talk about intercourse with a stranger. That's low-life behavior. It's typical of comedians in bars. He thought he had a groupie that couldn't wait to have intercourse with him. So he thought he was going to walk in there like David Lee Roth, big rock star, and have his body worshipped, and he didn't because she wasn't that kind of girl. But in a decent guy's date, you don't have to be manhandled to have to say you're not that kind of girl. You're expected to be a slut in his world. So that's why condoms and breast grabbing is fine on one kiss and a hurry up through dinner. So I was just enraged with the selectivity. Yeah, with the selectivity of Golden Boy over here because they love him and his Netflix special, and all of a sudden he's okay. But Woody Allen and everybody else is going to go into the buzzsaw where Woody Allen's been investigated twice by 2 states, as Alec Baldwin put out. So this, to me, really clouded and brought hypocrisy to Me Too. Now I don't believe Me Too at all.
You're absolutely right, Ed. One of the things that we saw that it also dilutes what this young lady did, too. We saw a CNN lady did a report on this thing and talked about how it was basically a bad date. He might be a creep. He might be, over the edge. But she could have easily pulled the plug early on, and she was trying to advance her career a little bit, too, I think. I don't think she was going in this entirely innocent as well.
I've met a lot of girls who don't sleep with guys on first dates, and that means they come out of a great home, and once they're up against the slut world of show business, they panic and don't know what to do. They've never been around.
Great point.
They've never been around.
This is where we wanted to come in and offer our suggestions for people. And we have 3 things to make sure that nothing like this goes wrong. We have a situation, we have Megan, a 29-year-old new hire, energetic physician's assistant. She's excited. She got her dream job. The 3rd day, she's called into the doctor's office to discuss the upcoming patients with her boss. He's seated in his lab coat behind the desk. He says, "Close the door." He stands up, and he's nude from the waist down.
Right.
She says, "Not okay ever." She leaves. She goes to HR. She reports him. She quits her job, forsaking all that other thing, because she doesn't want to work in a culture that doesn't value integrity.
And that's a sexual assault.
Absolutely.
That's not just a lack of integrity. See, that's exactly what I feel happens.
So we have 3 things to make sure that everybody keeps their personal integrity up front all the time. It's a first and foremost thing. Make integrity, accountability your number 1 priority. So we have ways to help people do that. The second thing is to practice the scenario so that if you are in that kind of sexual limbo zone and you're not sure of what to do or say, you don't freeze and become stymied.
And especially if this is a part of your life, Ed, if you are in the Hollywood world and this kind of practice can happen, like I said, comedians and others think this is okay behavior. Producers think it's okay. And they're being quickly taught in school now that it isn't okay. So make sure that anybody, if you have a daughter who's going into this world, and this applies to almost anything, by the way, of course, with parents. Same thing applies with drugs and anything else you might get in touch with. Give your kids and practice these scripts to say no and where the lines are. Make sure that they clearly understand it. Because I think a lot of these young ladies just feel they have to do that they have to play along, and you
in order to keep their job or,
look,
or whatever.
Get that job, get that part in the movie.
We happen to know this works as a psychology teacher of marketing at Ringling College of Art and Design here in Sarasota, Florida. I had a computer animation student about 7 years ago. He said, I'm going to work at Pixar. And this doesn't have anything to do with the Me Too movement, but it does have to do with what we're advocating here is to practice a script. And he said, I don't know what I should do in the interview. And I said, let's role play as best we can. We're going to simulate a Pixar computer animation thing. He came back after spring break. He goes, oh, my God, it was just like we practiced. 7 years later, he's still working at Pixar. So those kinds of things are what we are big proponents of.
You aren't caught off guard is what we're trying to say, Ed. You're not caught off guard by these.
You practice the desired outcome that you want, and you have the words to easily come out, even if it's in the thick of a hairy moment.
Yeah, and does it include calling the? I mean, shouldn't you be telling the guy you're going to the cops right then and there? That's
yes,
the way.
If you've been assaulted, yes.
That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
I mean, you got to say that, and you've always got the damn iPhone. So let's start getting it out when it matters. Get the snapshot of the offender talking to the video. I can't believe this is happening. I'm on the way to the police. It'll be time stamped and date stamped, and we won't have all this he said, she said after the fact.
Right.
All right, great.
Right.
You mentioned it a moment ago that drugs are the same thing. We've got a lot of absence of parenting that leaves 20-year-olds unprepared in these circumstances. The guy drops his robe, or you're hanging around with a lot of people, they're binge drinking, or they're snorting something, or smoking.
Blackout drinking. They do blackout drinking. They go for that blackout, which is so horrific on these college campuses.
I know. You're talking about that now. I guess you guys know about the Tide packages that they're eating.
Yes.
They're eating detergent. Okay, so this says to me, and I want to appeal to your parenting experts there. This says to me, this is why we needed Donna Reed. This is why I've been laughed at for 35 years on the air. I've been laughed at for this Donna Reed thing.
Yeah,
but you got to have.
Where the tide's supposed to go.
And June Cleaver, both of them together.
Thank you. Thank you. So I know it's going to sound out of left field for people, but the myriad of the ugliest stuff right now used to be within the purview of parenting. What you said, just the scripting we talked about a moment ago, this used to come from heart to heart at the kitchen table at 1 a.m. if it's really troubling, or it could be during dinner if it's starting out at school. Why don't you elaborate on that just a little bit? Let these young people know what parenting can do, how powerful good parenting is in the kind of world we've been talking about here.
A lot of it's just courage, too. So many of these things come down to the courage and the willingness to bring these topics up at a dinner table. And even though it's uncomfortable and you see that teenager squirming in their seat, rolling their eyes, it's like, no, we're going to talk about this.
And you never know when the student will show up. You could say something as a parent last year, and then this year when that similar event triggers that memory, he or she can call that into action. I have 4 children that I parented. They were always taught, especially when they turned to be teenagers, if you get arrested for any reason and you haven't called me first, because we had that agreement, you're at a party and there's illegal substances there, and you made the decision to stay, do not call me from jail, because I will not bring my attorney. I will not get you out of jail. You need to call me ahead of time.
You're going to spend a quality night in jail and learn from the opportunity.
And I say it'll be better for you. No, none of my kids went to jail, but they did roll their eyes when I said that, and they knew I wasn't kidding.
Right.
So it's really, parents need to take a really hard line in the sand.
Yeah, we blame ourselves as parents often, so many of our generation who have either, A, not taught their children the right things or taught them very poor behaviors.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many of my 4 children when I was in middle school and high school who had their parents coming in, marching in with attorneys to the principal's office or the headmaster's office because their child was doing coke in the parking lot, or, and then they got off.
No personal accountability, Ed. People are afraid to let their kids get in trouble.
Exactly.
We've written about it's a wonderful idea to let your kids fail, to let them go to jail, to let them fall, and to learn from that and teach them and not take over it. That's why we call ourselves millennial translators, because we're injecting into the world this group of socially and underdeveloped skills for solving problems.
And talking to each other, talking to people.
I'm hearing a lot about lowered expectations in millennial generation. We don't expect the kind of things that when I was 12, 13 years old, this Donna Reed thing was like a real part of our youth.
Sure.
So when we looked forward and we saw the 60s revolution, the long hair and the love beads, we just thought, well, Donna Reed will wear some love beads, but it's still going to be Donna Reed and Dr. whatever his name was there, Dr. King or Dr. Stone, I forget what their family name was, but it was still going to be the household intact. And then you get to 1975 and there's just no continuity and it gets worse. Do you see a generation... Even there's a name for the ones that are younger than millennials. If they're 12 and 13,
Zs,
there you go.
Gen Z.
Right. So those guys and gals, is it possible to turn the ship around, or they're just really going to go with less parental time, flimsier marriages, serial monogamy, 4 moms over the course of your life. They're all friends with your dad. They all come one point or another. Everybody's getting along. And it looks like a big... Michigas, it doesn't look like family anymore. Is there going to be a pushback, or are we just sliding that way?
One of the things with marriages, we actually have seen the millennials, because they've seen such poor behavior and such lack of success in so many marriages with their parents, they're not in a hurry to get married. A lot of these folks are like, we're just going to date for quite a while, make sure that things are where we need to be. And they're not in a hurry to tie the knot because they want to make sure that they don't make the same mistakes.
And what's happening with these young people in the workplace is that they've had so much attention lavished upon them growing up, but it's attention that isn't serving them well. It's attention to let me fix all your problems and let me not teach you how to problem solve on your own and how to live independently. I want you to be dependent on me as a baby boomer parent. And unfortunately, that is really clashing in the workplace as CEOs and managers are looking to these young people and they're saying, why can't you pick up the phone and call our client? Why can't you do this? Well, I don't know how to do that.
Why can't you stay with the company instead of quitting at the first sign of trouble?
They don't even know how to write a proposal. They don't know how to do so many of those things that are basic skills that mom and dad could help them with.
A lot of this is a shame on us for our generation for not holding them more accountable. Again, that word accountability, we're going to keep coming back to it.
Yeah, it's hard to hold anybody accountable when you're just not around. I mean, the story of the 70s, 80s, and 90s is single mom, she's a lawyer, 14-hour day, somebody get the kids to bed, I'll see them in the morning, I'll try to get quality time for 20 minutes, single dad. So this was my question, all right, so that you got it. So you guys got the lay of the land here. What, if anything, is going to bring back the nuclear family, make people stay home, raise their kids, don't go skiing, don't take up golf, don't buy a big Lexus, don't get a pool put in? All that time, money, and energy is spent on raising my family, giving them a moral code, modeling for them, making sure I'm around all day Saturday from when they leave to when they come back. I'm here. They see me. I'm a rock of a parent, not someone they bump into once a week. Anything going to change that?
Yes, I do believe that. As Geoff alluded to earlier, I think this younger generation, these Gen Ys and Gen Zs, are starting to not get married.
No, I know that, but
and
what I just said is it coming back. If you had to bet $1,000 that the statistic on nuclear families and marriages lasting 40 to 50 years would change, that they would go precipitously the opposite, would you bet that $1,000?
No, I would not.
That's my point. So you guys are really kind of pessimistic then. That's all right. I mean, we got to find something good and bad, but we're going straight down. We're going straight. Why are we not going to bounce back? Yeah, but there's nothing good about that answer. You have to admit, if we're really just going this way in a couple, 3, 4 generations, they won't have anything. They won't have anything. There'll be nobody to teach them anything. There'll be no marriages intact. My question is, why do you think it's irreversible? Why is this slide?
I don't think it's irreversible. You asked if we would bet $1,000.
Well, I said, why can't you bet on the right? Why would you be unable to make that bet?
Today, I wouldn't be able to make that bet.
Why?
But I do believe
Why?
that
Just
it
tell
is
me why.
possible
Yeah,
in the
we have to be
future.
hopeful and be the ones that help teach the generation to change the way we've done things.
Because I think our culture is so divided right now that nobody would be listening to that.
Right,
Our
isn't-
most important thing is communication. Yeah.
If they're not listening, right? How did you phrase it? No one would listen to that. Isn't that the fault of the person saying it? You got to do better. This is the thing. When you say you wouldn't bet on it, then that tells me your gut tells you there's absolutely no way to say it's going to turn. We would like it to turn, but we don't have. I'm not putting $1,000 on it turning. What does that say? That says that all we have is, I don't want to be Don Quixote in front of the windmill, right? Talking a good game, knowing the windmill is a windmill. So I'm asking on behalf of them. Now, look, I got some parents listening right now that I would like to guilt into changing their life.
Yeah,
I'd like to kick them in the ass and show them a lot of dead kids and say, your kid would wind up dead, too. A 10-year-old took his life on Facebook. I think that's what moved Mark Zuckerberg to change his newsfeed. I think that's the kind of shocking. So what do we do to turn it besides hope that it'll turn? So we won't bet on it now. What could we make it to? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it takes tragedy, like you just said.
Not enough has happened?
It takes the overdosing. It takes the sexual assault. It takes the Me Too movement to instill some motivation and momentum into people wanting to feel empowered and to take action.
And to take the courage, as we said, to bring these topics up, Ed, sit down at that dinner table. In one of the shows that we love, they talk about changing the tide. I don't know if you ever watched Blue Bloods with Tom Selleck. And
oh, yeah.
If you have the Sunday dinner, they're all around the dinner table, and they're all sorting through whatever the problem is. And it's a great thing to see. That's what more of us need to be doing, that be willing to have those hard conversations.
How do we sell this, though? In other words, we're going to have to get that bet more likely for you guys to win instead of be reluctant to place. So how do you sell the dinner table is better than whatever crap you're already doing on Sunday? Well, Dad plays golf. Mom goes with the girls. I go over. No. So how do we sell it to people? Say, stop. Don't do what you like. Do what will bring real happiness, because it just seems like the trend is against everything we're talking about that's good.
I laughed when you were going through a list of things they shouldn't do. Like you said, don't have a pool. I'd say have the pool, but make sure you go swimming with the kids.
Well,
go play with them. Go take that time to do it.
As long as you don't have to save up and work extra hours to get the pool. If you're working extra hours for the pool, you kind of deserve the problem you have because your priorities are shot. You know what I mean? Like, this is a house on fire here, and what could we do that would make it likely to change? What kind of big change is going to happen?
The three of us right here on this phone call, plus all of your listeners, to implore them and beg them to please step back, take a look, take a wide-angle view of this, and go, am I doing the best job that I can for my kids?
Am I prioritizing them? Am I making them come first?
Am I role modeling exactly what I want to for my kids?
Right.
If I behave in this way, I'm holding myself accountable here again. Am I behaving this way? Is this what I want my kids to do?
Ed, one of the things Poppy and I have a wonderful life story. We both of us are twice divorced. Part of the huge reason was because we weren't role modeling very good behaviors for our children. That's one of the reasons that drove a lot of that.
It's tough when society is not rooting for you. Society doesn't care if marriages stay together. They hate marriage. So American society hates marriage. It loves divorce. It loves money. It loves autonomy. The new one, you guys probably either have seen this or you will shortly. There's an ad running now that says you're complete without being married. You're done. Yes. Well, that's a lie, right? That's a big lie. This is terrible because it's going to look believable and candid. These young ones are going to go, finally, someone's telling us the truth, is the way they're presenting it. I just think it's so damaging. What's the statistic going to be for the generation? Would you call them before YZs?
No, the Zs.
Z, the letter Z. When Generation Z is 40 years old, what do you think it's going to look like?
I think that it'll be better than it is now. I really do. I think these kids, the generation before the millennials, the Gen Xers, these were the latchkey kids. These were the kids that were first time left home alone to their own devices, and they are actually really successful in the workplace. They are probably not happy in their personal relationships. Hopefully that will trickle down and impress and influence the upcoming generations to look at that. because they get stuff done. They're very accountable. They're very responsible, this generation, generally speaking.
Right.
So the millennials, not so much. But I think the Gen Zs, even though they have even more digital familiarity than the millennials, I think that parents will step up. I think parents will create that nuclear environment at home that you spoke about earlier.
I hope so. I think our generation, myself in particular, right, at the age I'm at, we had about 2 toes of our foot in the 50s. Not enough to remember a lot, but I was born in 56. So I was 4 years old when Kennedy got elected, and I do remember that night. I remember being in the living room. My parents stayed up all night. It was a nail-biter a la 2000. But Kennedy won. From that point on, a pretty good memory of a very different time. A lot less yelling, cursing, vulgarity, a lot more experiences at home. I so want these kids to have some Sherpa, an emotional Sherpa, who can show them a back up that mountain. I hope we're going to get there in time. I really do. You guys are so awesome. I'm looking at the clock, and of course, I just jabber away here, and we're a little over time. So let me plug up how people can reach out to you. Geoff and Poppy Spencer's book is a #1 bestseller called 1 Billion Seconds. It's available on Amazon, and it's available in print, Kindle, and Audible version. Do you guys do your own voicing on that?
We did. It had to be recorded. I did the male voices. Poppy did all the female voices. We loved doing it. It's a passionate version of the book with our own voices.
I love that. That's becoming so popular now. That's something I'm glad finally caught on. Years ago, I remember when people were trying to jumpstart that and the world wasn't ready. But now having an audible version of your book is terrific. So that's great. And also, the Relationship Relief Program is a comprehensive home study course for people. All of that available at www.poppy, P-O-P-P-Y, and A-N-D, Geoff, Geoff.com. I love you guys because you never, ever back away from tackling something huge, and we need you. This is what we need. We really do. We need more voices of confidence for young people to believe in what's possible and not be settling for what is.
And parents, if we could just have that courage to be accountable. The one thing my firstborn child told me when she was 15, when I dragged her up from a party where no parents were there and brought her home, she goes, well, I don't understand. Why aren't the other parents like you? And I said, because it's not important for them to like me. And that is a mantra that I've had forever. And when you were talking about your youth and all the parents in your neighborhood were on the same page.
They were.
They all had the same rules. So if you didn't get in trouble at home, you got in trouble from Mrs. Smith next door or Mr. Taylor 4 doors down.
I had a next door neighbor. My best friend, his mom, was at that window when we crossed the street. Wait for the light, Edward. And I didn't even know where the voice came from. That was Ann Toohey looking out for me because I was playing with her son, Buddy.
Sure.
Right. And we had it like when the street lights went on, you went inside. No questions asked.
You knew everybody in your neighborhood.
That's right. You know what we had to? I'll let you go with this one. Tell me how beautiful this is. I'd love to see this in a movie someday. We had a guy who knew all the moms had the laundry on the clothesline. So the first drop of rain, he would go out, open the window, and yell, "It's raining!" and what do you think my mom and everybody else yelled out the window?
Aww.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. Because everybody cared. Everybody really did look at the laundry and go, oh, my God, all their laundry is out there. These poor people are going to have no clothes tomorrow. What kind of world, that was, and we could get it back. I believe we can get this back. I want to get it back.
Yes, we
sometime.
can.
All right, thank you,
We truly
guys.
are positive optimists at heart, I promise.
You are. Listen, you help me. You rejuvenate me. I'm always better off after you guys are on the show for sure.
Aw,
We're so
you.
glad.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you, Poppy and Geoff. Go to poppyandgeoff.com. Poppy and Geoff Spencer are awesome. And you can hear it, right? Even if they never wrote anything or never had all this other social media stuff, can't you just hear what they have for us, right? Wisdom, confidence, strength, principles. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Poppy and Geoff Spencer's #1 best-selling book, 1 Billion Seconds, available on Amazon. Go to the website, www.poppyandgeoff.com.